When I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises. Now, another promise, let me try again.
So when they laughed, I actually got up and repeated it a second time. And they laughed again, and I said it a third time because I said what I said. I didn't stutter, I meant it.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, thanks so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you. You too.
2023.
Yes.
Big year.
Big things.
What will 2023 bring in relation to the support agreement that you have with the Liberals right now? Will that remain in place this year?
So we have a number of things that we want to get done.
Yeah.
And what we've done with the position we have in Parliament was we forced the government to do things that they were fighting and opposing in the past. So the dental care that we started with kids under 12, what we want to see happen, what we forced the government to do is by the end of this year, expand that to seniors, teenagers, children 18 and under, and people living with disabilities. So that's a big benchmark for us. We want to make that happen. We have done a number of things, like we got paid sick days, which is something that the Liberals had opposed before. We made that happen last year. So our goal is, we know people are hurting. We know people need help. We want to get people that help, get people that respect, and use our position to achieve that. And as long as we can continue to deliver on those important things, we're going to keep on doing that. If we come to a point where it's clear to us that Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are no longer willing to do what's needed for people, then we've always got the opportunity and the right to withdraw our support.
What point would that be? Because I know there were recent reports highlighting that you may have been ready to withdraw that support when it came to the healthcare crisis that's currently ongoing across all the provinces in this country.
So healthcare is a major priority for us. We look at what Canadians are going through right now, and we think two major things: the cost of living and the healthcare crisis. We want to see investments in dealing with the healthcare worker shortage, which is one of the major problems that we're up against. We want to see children's hospitals, which are some of the hardest hit, get the support they need so they can provide care for our kids. We want to see concrete actions that deal with the crisis that we're up against right now, which means investing in healthcare workers, using the immigration system to recruit more healthcare workers, finding ways to qualify those that already have that qualification, international training, find ways to qualify them here in Canada, recognize their international training. So these are some of the things we want to see.
Justin Trudeau has said any additional money that he's going to give to the provinces when it comes to healthcare, that it's going to be attached to certain benchmarks and so forth. We just heard that Ontario's Premier Doug Ford said that he's willing to accept whatever those benchmarks are. Do you feel like the Liberals are doing enough when it comes to healthcare?
No, I don't think there's enough being done, but I do support the idea that there should be strings attached. We should know where money is going. We should know that money is being used for healthcare. What I'm concerned about is if on one hand Doug Ford is saying that he's willing to accept conditions, why isn't it that the federal government's using that to actually enforce publicly delivered healthcare, not for profit? Because what we're hearing that's going to come out of Ontario is Doug Ford's going to push forward with more for-profit hospitals or more for-profit care. What that means is anytime we see for-profit in healthcare, and we saw that in the long-term care home situation, it means profit gets put above people, and people end up suffering. And we saw that with the long-term care homes where the military went in and saw some of the most horrific conditions in the for-profit long-term care homes.
Well, what do you make of the fact that Doug Ford's government has come out saying that they are going to move forward with, for private clinics doing some surgeries to help kind of deal with the backlog that's currently in place in the province?
When we look at what the problem is in our healthcare system, like I mentioned, it's a lack of healthcare resources, so enough workers. And if the plan is to get more private facilities, what's going to happen is those workers are just going to be cannibalized. So ER nurses that are already running short are going to be pulled to go to a private hospital to do cataract surgeries. Now, cataract surgeries are important, but it's not fixing the problems in our ER rooms if you're going to cannibalize or poach those same healthcare workers and take them out of the public system, out of our public hospitals into a private hospital. How does that fix the problem in our ERs?
His government has said that they're going to try to put in protocols to avoid that from happening.
So our concern is that we've seen this kind of show before in other countries where there is a private and a public option, that the private solution pulls away more and more workers and it starves the public system of those workers.
So if Justin Trudeau and his government don't do enough in terms of your standards to stop what's happening in provinces like Ontario, would you withdraw your support from them?
Well, I would approach this by saying I'm not going to give up fighting. My goal right now is to fight with everything I have to make sure people have good health care. If it comes to the point where we can no longer deliver for Canadians, we can't force this government to do its right on health care or a number of other fronts, then we'll look at our options. But right now my goal is to use the power I have to fight for them, and then I want to run for Prime Minister because I'm not satisfied with just forcing government to do its right. I've seen the impact that we've had, and I am now more convinced than ever, instead of just pushing Justin Trudeau to do what's right, I want to be the one calling the shots because I know a new Democrat government would put people first, would take on the corporate greed that's driving up the cost of living, that would stand up for public health care, and I know that would make a difference in people's lives.
When do you foresee yourself being able to run for Prime Minister again? Is it in 2023?
Next election, I can tell you it's definitely not tomorrow.
Oh. Well, I mean, you're the guy who really could make it all explode if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about my goal. My goal is absolutely I want to be Prime Minister. But first and foremost, my goal is to make sure people get help. Mm-hmm. And right now, I want to use the position I have to get people that help. We want to make sure that dental care is rolled out for kids and expand that beyond kids to children 18 and under and seniors. We want to see the pharmacare that we forced this government to move ahead with. Something, again, they had fought and opposed in the past. We want to see that move forward. So there's things that we want to see happen, which we know will help our healthcare system out.
That statement, when I'm Prime Minister, I know recently, close to the end of 2022, you said that in the House of Commons, and there was a viral clip that went out of your peers from across the bench and other parties laughing.
When I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises. Now, another promise, let me try again.
Well, I was unfazed. I was conservatives, and I think they were feeling a little shook because if you look at the crises that we've been up against, the pandemic and unprecedented inflation, with the Conservatives at over 100 seats, the official opposition, they can't point to a single thing they've been able to obtain to make people's lives better. We can show that we fought to get people more money in the pandemic. We fought to expand it. We fought to cover more people. And now we can show that we got dental care to people. We got GST rebate doubled so more people had money in their pockets. We helped people with their rent. We got paid sick days delivered. And we're gonna get more help to people this year. So when they laughed, I actually got up and repeated it a second time. And they laughed again, and I said it a third time because I said what I said. I didn't stutter, I meant it, and I believe in it because I know Canadians will benefit from it.
What do you say to that Canadian who is awaiting an election because they might be unhappy with the current situation, but they look at what's been done under the current situation and maybe they are more progressive leaning voters and they are getting the things that they want, like what you said, dental care and so forth, but you're not the person leading, you're not Prime Minister, you're the person supporting the Prime Minister. So why would they vote for you as Prime Minister if they're still getting ultimately what they're looking for out of a progressive government?
It's a fair question. In our case, we can show that with things like dental care, the track record is the Liberals voted against it. They fought against it. They opposed it. So we made them do something that they had fought against. And so we can show Canadians that when it comes down to it, we made the government do these things that made people's lives better. Right now, one of the big problems that I'm sure you hear all the time is how the cost of everything is going up, and particularly groceries. And we see again and again how items that we rely on, that families need, are getting more and more expensive. We know that corporate greed is actually contributing to that. And our solution is one that other countries are doing. Let's make those companies that are gouging you, that are ripping you off, pay more, and to disincentivize them from ripping you off. We can actually make
people... What does pay more look like? Like, I'm sure you saw that viral photo of the pack of chicken breasts.
Absolutely.
That was nearly $40.
Yeah.
I think almost every politician was talking about that, quote, tweeting that. And for a lot of Canadians, it was like, it stirred up a lot of anger because like there is a lot of people dealing with the high cost of inflation and what that means. So would your plan mean that grocery stores like Loblaws would be paying, what, an extra special tax? Like what does that actually look like?
In the World War time period, there's a thing called profiteering, where companies were profiteering off the war. They're making lots of money off of the war. So what they did is, there's a number of ways to look at it. You look at what a regular profit would be, a regular profit margin would be for a number of given years. And then you look at what the increase is during that crucial period, so post-war, right now with the war in Ukraine, and you see how much above it is than the normal amount of profit they would be making. And then you charge a surcharge on that. The goal being, if you're ripping people off, and we know that that's happening, if you're making massive profits, prices of your goods are high, and you're making higher profits, clearly you've increased your prices beyond the increased costs if you're making higher profits. So we want to stop that. We want to say corporate greed shouldn't be making people suffer when it comes to buying groceries. There's ways to do that. We've done that in the past. We put in profiteering taxes, and we're saying let's do that again.
Have you told Justin Trudeau that that's mandatory for you for him to do?
I've said that that's a priority for us.
Conditional on your support?
I've said that something's really important for me. I think that's something
but
that
is it
shows a difference.
conditional on your support?
I've said that that's what I would do, and I've put to Justin Trudeau that right now you got a scenario where people are struggling, and if we don't take action, it's going to be you that has to wear this. You're the Prime Minister, and you have an opportunity to do something about it. I'm giving you a solution, which is let's make these companies that are ripping people off pay their fair share. And if he doesn't do it, that's on him to explain why he's not doing it.
How has inflation impacted you and your family?
I would say I'm in a lucky position today that it's not something that impacts me in the same way. But I think about when I was in university and we were going through a really tough time. My father was dealing with an addiction. He lost his job, couldn't continue to work, and I had to take my brother to live with me. And I remember when Mom said, hey, listen, you're already taking your brother in. We can't provide any help to help you with your brother. You're on your own. I said, no problem, I got this. And I went out and got a bunch of jobs. I got 3 jobs, I remember at the time, retail jobs. And I remember the feeling that I had. I wasn't worried about myself. I figured I could figure out how to make ends meet for myself. But I had this feeling in my stomach, this pit in my stomach, that if my kid brother goes hungry, like I could not accept that, the fear that I had. And I know that that's a fear that many Canadians are experiencing right now. And that is something that drives me, that no one should have to worry. If you're working a job, you shouldn't have to worry about putting enough food on the table. You should have the respect and dignity that one job provides enough for your family. And so that's what motivates me.
There are so many Canadians who don't know where their next meal is going to come or where is the money going to come because they're dealing with higher mortgage costs and higher costs for everything. What is it in 2023 does the NDP have in its plan to address that outside of a profiteering tax against Canada's massive grocers?
We know that the price of groceries continue to rise. And in the past, the not too distant past, we knew that in Canada, the big grocery stores and bread producers colluded to fix the price of bread. And they were found to have been price fixing. So what we push for in Parliament is an investigation into food prices and the Competition Bureau to investigate if there's price fixing going on with groceries in general. So we're going to look at other ways that we can provide direct financial support for people that are having a hard time with their mortgage, hard time with groceries. We got relief for about 2 million Canadians when it comes to the rent. That started last year in December, and that's a Canadian housing benefit that goes to about 2 million Canadians. So we got $500 top off just to give people a little bit extra support.
We're at the top of 2023. By the end of 2023, hopefully we're going to sit right here at Zaf's coffee shop talking again. Where would you want to see the country? Paint the picture for me. What does it look like?
Yeah, I want to see, some of the things that we've forced the government to agree to. We want to see kids 18 and under being able to go to the dentist and not have to worry about how much it costs. Seniors in our country be able to get the help that they need for their dentures or any other dental needs. We want to see pharmacare moving forward. The legislation on pharmacare needs to be put forward. We're the only country in the world that has a healthcare system that's universal that doesn't also include medication coverage. So we're hoping that moves forward. That's a part of our agreement. So I want to see real investments in tackling the healthcare crisis. So people shouldn't have to worry about going to an ER and thinking that I'm gonna have to wait 12 hours, 24 hours before I get seen. I wanna make sure people get the care they need when they need it. I would like to see real investments that help people find a place that's affordable. I know in Toronto, we're seeing some unprecedented rent that are so high that people are saying, we're gonna have to leave the city that we love. I wanna see that people can live in their communities, live in the communities they grew up in and stay there and find a home that they can afford. And so I'm hoping that I can make a dent in these things by the end of this year.
By the end of this year, your daughter will also almost be 2 years old.
That's right.
It's been a year since you've been a father.
Yes.
How has fatherhood changed you?
Oh man, it's I joke with my wife about this, that I have always, as the older sibling, I always had to take care of my younger brother. I had to take care of my parents in a lot of ways when times were tough. So it wasn't a big shift in the sense of having to take care of other people.
You've been doing this.
I've been doing that, right? And so for my wife, she had a very different kind of life where, in a very healthy way, her parents took care of her. And so for her, it was a big shift to have to take care of this new wonderful addition to her family. But I would say what's changed me is when I look at my daughter, I think about wanting to make the world a better place has always been something that's driven me, and something my mom taught me, that we're all connected. So if we see someone hurting, we're also hurting. And if we help people out, we're doing better off ourselves. We're all collectively better off. But when I look at my daughter, I don't think about the next couple years. I think about what life I want her to have when she grows up. And so it really has committed me to start seeing the type of world we want to build, not in the next 4 years, the next 10 years, but the next 40 years.
Jagmeet Singh, as you know, an historic publication, Now Toronto, is back.
Yes.
I would love to hear from you. What do you love most about Now Toronto?
Oh, I gotta say, first of all, I think this is so exciting. I probably shouldn't be so biased, but huge congratulations, because this is a publication that I have relied on for so many things. What's happening in the city, what the best restaurants are, what the best cultural venues are, what the best shows are, whether it's concerts or theater. And it's always provided such a distinct look at the city that I love. I'm born in Toronto, and so I've always had this love affair with the city. And Toronto Now also has really provided a way to experience the city in a real way, to understand what it's about. So I'm looking forward to your leadership and your team to continue to provide that coverage that I know I'm not alone when I say this, that many people rely on.
Toughest question of the entire interview.
Yes.
Are you team oxtail or team curry goat?
Oh boy, I'm team vegetarian. So I'm team ital. So make that ital, and then I will take it.
Just like yeah.
So respectfully, neither.
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Hey BG Squad, thanks so much for checking out our channel. And listen to this, we have more great content for you, like this video right here and this video right here. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now and tap that notification bell.